Hey all, this is Ron with Turnkey Property Solutions, your broker and property manager. Today I just want to go over something really quick that might be of interest to you. It's about how the eviction process works at Turnkey Property Solutions, and kind of so you can see the process and what goes into it and everything of that nature. So I made a little presentation. We'll go over it, and feel free to comment or call me with any questions as always. So, getting into it. So, Turnkey Property Solutions, I don't know if you knew, every 7th of the month or the next day after, if it falls on a weekend, tenants are posted on if they have a more than a $300 balance. We have an in-house attorney. We keep you NRS compliant, Nevada state statute compliant. And it's really designed to, protect your investment. Like I said, again, we post on the 7th of every month. What this does is, I would say, probably like 60 to 80% of people pay once they receive eviction notice. What we noticed during COVID is that we couldn't post evictions because of government mandates and people stopped paying. Unfortunately, there has to be some urgency to pay your landlord or they don't pay. And so everybody with over a $300 balance gets a posting notice on them. And this is a 7-day non-payment of rent posting notice. Pay or quit. One of the advantages we have at Turnkey Property Solutions is we've been doing this since 2011. We have an in-house attorney. He handles all the eviction cases. And there's certain things you need an attorney for in Nevada to do an eviction. Keeping costs low to our landlords is important. And so that's why we have an in-house attorney to keep those costs low, to make sure everything's done in compliance with the law, and to make sure that non-payment tenants are getting out of the houses. Understanding court days. So this is an interesting concept. Court days, when we post a 7-day notice, it's not 7 business days. It's not 7 regular calendar days. It's 7 court days. Courts are open Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. So we have to count our days off of that, minus holidays. So if we post the notices on the 7th, the earliest we typically can file for the eviction is the 21st. After we file that eviction, when it comes down to it, we file for a summary eviction. There's 2 options that may happen. One, the tenant may have answered that, at which we get a court date and pushes it back further. Typically, court dates are about 30 days out now. If no response, the eviction is granted, and we go on to the constable. So, this going over the complicity of an eviction. 1, you have to post the proper notice. 2, you have to make sure you know the correct court days. 3, you have to now file for the affidavit for summary eviction. 4, you have to wait to see if we get back from the court, if they've answered or not. Now, let's say you post the incorrect notice, you start all over, which could cost you time and money. 6, if the tenant responds, we get a court date. Our attorney appears in person, or he may send one of us as the property manager to appear in person. Typically, it's less if we appear in person, and we're just as effective. Judge rules in our favor, we proceed with the lockout. If denied, for any of the reasons, like we get a payment plan, a stipulation, or dismissal, then we start back at square one with reposting the non-payment, or sometimes we go to court and the tenant pays within the court. That's the best outcome. You always want your tenant to pay. Constable lockout procedure. After we get the notice for lockout, and we get the affidavit all done, we then have to go down and file at the constable the correct paperwork and pay that fee. Constable then schedules, our handyman meets him at the property. Constable goes and clears everybody out the house. We then secure the property with the handyman, change the locks. Something you have to understand that's very crucial is personal property. That's something we handle, making sure the tenant gets their personal property back. If it is mishandled, it becomes a real mess in the courts, and landlords often lose those battles, costing them time, money, litigation costs. Our system versus you doing it by yourself. We've kind of talked about this already, but 1, we have a licensed attorney. We know the legal notices and court compliances. Internally, our staff monitors the deadlines so they're not missed. If we get a payment plan, they're legally binding, and we serve the proper notices. These are the things as a private landlord that you might have to deal with if you're doing an eviction for yourself. You have to hire a process server. You have the risk of posting an invalid posting. Even if you hire a process server, they just do what you tell them. So you may still post an invalid posting. Deadlines are often missed. There's no structured recovery system, and often fails to meet service standards. And so every single time you fail to meet service standards, you start all over. So you may go 7 days and then up to the 21st, and then they may answer and you may get a court date. At that point, the judge will be like, hey, you didn't serve it right, and then you have to start all over. At this point, you're like 45 days, and so now you're 90 days into the process, 3 months rent, which you could lose. Versus turnkey, because we've done it so much, when we go to court, it's typically a streamlined process, and they're out of there. And, for the most part, we save you money by, if you do have a bad tenant in the house, we're able to evict them quick. And I would say probably 80% of tenants aren't bad. They're poor at managing their money. And if they're poor at managing their money, then at that point, giving them a notice helps them prioritize us on the list of people that need to be paid, right? And as sometimes I found out, we're very effective in getting them into court and getting them out. And so it makes them pay quicker. And again, last thing I want to emphasize is the legal compliance matters, is that we protect you from illegal lockouts, retaliatory evictions, improper service issues. Evictions done wrong, like I've talked before, restarting the process is very, very costly to start with, and that's the least of your concerns. There's civil penalties, and then having tenant attorney involvement. And so, that's something we do at Turnkey Property Solutions. We make sure that we're working for you to protect your interest in the property. We do a very good job at screening. Evictions are relatively low, but I've had tenants that have lived in the house for 5 years and then get evicted, right? Tenants are dynamic and they're always changing, and you have to be aware that evictions might happen. It's just a risk of being a landlord. But at Turnkey, we work for you. We have faster evictions, lower vacancy risk, legally sound notices because I ran through our in-house attorney. We have legal oversight, strategic hardship plans. That's how we retain good tenants that are just having fallen on tough times. And we're built on NRS compliance, which is a Nevada state statute that keeps you out of court and keeps you from being sued or anything of that nature. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you found it helpful. I hope if you have any questions about evictions or anything of that nature, you reach out to us. And I hope you never have to deal with an eviction. But if you do, we've got you covered. So we appreciate having you as a landlord, and let us know whatever you need. We'll take care of you. Thanks.